or Buffalo State itself. Due to the opinionated nature of these programs, listener discretion is highly advised. If you have any questions or comments about today's program, you can give us a call at 716-878-5104.
To join Mr. Hare on today's Living for the People, dial 878-5104. That's 716-878-5104. Or go to facebook.com/91.3 WBNY and comment there. That's facebook.com/91.3 WBNY.
Hey, good morning, people. My name's Norman McCarter, and I'm filling in for Mr. Nathan Hare, man that needs no introduction. I'd like to welcome you to our new broadcast, and it's focused on providing insight and events, insight into events shaping our national and regional world, and examining the facts behind those events and policies that are shaping our world for today and tomorrow. Join us today weekly on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And this follows Amy Goodman's program, Democracy Now! And our program is live, so please call in and join our discussion. Our phone number is 716-878-5104. That's 716-878-5104. All righty, we'll get right into it. Mr. Hare's out of town, and he sent me some things before he left, and this is what he wants to speak on today. The United States is entering into a tax crisis with skyrocketing deficits and debt. This is something that we want to, try to avoid. It's a lot going on. And in the United States, the numbers are not adding up. The country has entered a spiral of deficit and debt. And, this originated back in 2007, 2008, this financial crisis. It was aggravated by COVID-19 pandemic, and it hasn't really been resolved since then. Excuse me. In almost any other country, the lack of fiscal discipline would be unsustainable. In the United States, some are beginning to fear that this is also the case for us. The public deficit doubled last year due to the fall in tax revenue. Debt held by the public is on track to surpass the World War II high and long-term interest rates due to a mix of factors. They have hit 5% with the aging of the population and the political deadlock in Congress, which is something, we don't need. This is something I wish we could kind of get past and kind of work together, but, it's kind of tough, GOP wants things their way, and I think most Democrats, we try to do what we can to try to make things work, but it's kind of a deadlock. It's kind of rough. I guess they kind of remain loggerheads, and the problem is only set to worsen. The U.S. federal government's fiscal year came to a close September 30th. That's the budget execution data has just been published. It received $4.4 trillion in revenue collections and had 6.1 trillion of outlays, leaving a deficit of 1.7 trillion. Excuse me. The equivalent of 6.3% of our gross domestic product. In 2022, the deficit was 1.37 trillion. These figures, however, are kind of distorted. In 2022, the administration included as an expense $379 billion plan to forgive student debt.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, cancel 39 billion in student debt, but this plan never was executed as it was struck down by the Supreme Court in June.
Okay. So no money for the schools.
It's kind of tough. They, the students were really a whole lot of students were looking to receive this, this
grant money,
this money to help, pay off their loans, and it was taken away. It was on the table, and the Supreme Court took it away.
Yeah.
So that's kind of rough.
Now, does it detail who fault is that? Is that Biden or is that the Republicans? Who took it off the table or who dropped the ball?
Well, I mean, it was all set to go, Will, but the Supreme Court, I guess they had the final ruling on it, and they're the ones that took it off the table.
Supreme Court, okay. Which
Yeah.
probably Republicans then.
Well,
Yeah. That's who.
They lean that way.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Well, they got the power in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Republicans. Yeah.
Yeah, so that right there is, pretty tough situation. Not to really get off the subject, but just the way they kind of reversed the Roe versus Wade decision.
Right.
I mean, they've got the power to do what they want to do,
was
and
Republican, yeah.
they kind of implement that when I guess when they feel that it's when they serves their interests, I guess.
Right.
You can look at it that way.
Right.
Yeah. So the Supreme Court rejects Biden's plan to wipe away $400 billion, in student loan debt.
Wow.
It's a $333 billion reversal.
Mm-hmm.
It was recorded this year as lower spending in 2023.
Right.
So, taking this into account, the deficit more than doubled to $2 trillion. Kind of, I don't even really like saying it, and 7.5% of the GDP. A bar only surpassed during the 2 years of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you how big that was, because you know how big the pandemic was,
Right.
and that's the only thing that really surpassed that. So I mean, hey, what can you say? Taking this into account, we've already the main cause was a 9% drop in revenue. The U.S. Treasury said this shortfall was due to the fact that last year's collection was particularly high, thanks to the pandemic recovery and revenue from capital gains tax. What has surprised analysts is that the deficit has soared in a period of growth. Let's see. 2023 economy grows at fastest pace since 2021, on the back of strong consumer spending.
Right.
When you hear something like that, and see, I want to be the one to give attaboy to President Biden, because when you look at that, strong consumer spending basically can only come when our economy is good and when you got people working.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so we're you know what I mean. We're at 3.7% unemployment rate, which is one of the lowest unemployment rates that we've had, and it's been sustained for a minute. Hey, Will, we got a caller?
Yeah, we got a caller.
Oh, hey, good morning, caller. Good morning.
Good morning. It's your brother Wesley.
Hey, big bro. My man.
Just wanted to speak a little bit about this student loan forgiveness program that you were talking about.
Yes, sir.
What happened actually is that I believe it was several states took the government to court saying that it was illegal or it was just wasn't fiscally responsible, and it went through the courts, and finally it did go to the Supreme Court, but it was these Republicans who were against this, and the reason being is that they're against anything that would benefit the Biden administration or benefit the people.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got you there, bro. So this is kind of in a way to frustrate Biden and some of the things that he's got going. Just kind of like trying to make him look bad.
In essence, because they're rich, poor. I mean, most of the people aren't wealthy who had to take out these loans. If you're wealthy, you don't need a loan.
Right, you don't need a loan.
The parents pay it off. I'll pay off your college debt.
Yeah.
But if you have, I don't know if you have children or family members who are have to take out loans to go to college, you can end up paying for these loans for 20 plus years.
Right.
So this is something that a lot of people were counting on. So, and then the other thing about when you talk about the economy, if they get these student loan debts off their backs, then they can go out and purchase homes, purchase cars.
Right, that's correct.
And go ahead and that helps the economy when money is being spent. But if you're spending all your money on these student loans,
Right.
It slows down the economy and it slows down recovery.
Yeah,
Anything that hurts the economy, anything that hurts what's going on with the president, Republicans are for. They want to slow they don't want any type of goodwill coming from the current administration.
Right. That's why.
Everything.
That's why they want that government shutdown too. Same reason.
That's correct.
To make them look bad. Now, Norm, you was talking about the economy being stimulated, but don't Trump get a little credit for that? I'm just being devil advocate now, because he did send out some money to get people spending. Don't he get a little credit?
I think Trump in the beginning, he sent out money to for the when we had the pandemic.
Pandemic, right.
But I can't see him getting credit for any of this here. But this is all Biden's administration. And, he's as I say, when you look at it, President Biden has drastically, in a very positive way, when it comes down to unemployment, people are working. I mean, jobs are so readily available.
Right.
It's almost like you can, if you want to work,
you can work.
All you got to do is just go and find yourself a job.
Right.
And when people are working, the economy is boosted and it's lifted.
And they said it is jobs. It's down. It's low now, so people got jobs. So I have to give credit to Biden for that. For keeping the economy running, and there's jobs for a lot of people. Unemployment is down still drastically down than previous years. So.
Another problem with the with Donald Trump is that his tax cuts, and there was a small benefit to normal people, but it was a tremendous cut to the wealthy.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And they cut the wealth. So all that contributes to the deficit.
Right, deficit,
and
because
a tremendous strain on the government.
Right.
When they lose the revenue from all the taxes.
Right, and that's how they lost that money.
Some, but not to the levels that they were before the Trump tax cut. So they didn't help then, and they continue to hurt the economy.
Damage us now, yeah.
It's a bad thing.
Oh yeah. Well, when you look at it, and this is traditionally, the GOP. And their tax cuts, they favor the rich and the top 1% all the way, and they basically, without a doubt, they hurt the poor. They take away different things that are the appropriations that things that are going to certain appropriations, and it kind of messes that up, and that affects everything. So, big bro. My man, I really appreciate you calling in, and please stay tuned, and please continue to call in because we greatly appreciate it. Hello?
Yeah, I think he probably left already.
Oh, did he leave us?
Yeah.
All righty. Well, that's that. So thanks again, bro. Let me continue on here. We'll start with the gross public debt stood at 121% of GDP, but that figure is misleading as it includes $7 trillion in intragovernment debt. The relevant data point is the amount of debt held by the public, which stood at 98% of GDP. Under this criteria, the U.S. public debt reached its historic peak, of 106% of the GDP in 1946 due to the effort of World War II. The strong growth of the following decades reduced it to 23%. After war, economy does improve. So that's something that's true. And in 1974, before the oil crisis, although it rose in the following decades, it still stood at a healthy 35% in 2007, before the financial crisis. With the financial crisis, new spending items and tax cuts, it increased to 79.4 in 2019. The pandemic raised it back up to 100.6% of the GDP due to extra spending, spending that we didn't expect, and the drop in economic activity. At that point we were dealing with COVID, and there was a lot of people that weren't employed. So that's why that hit occurred. Despite the subsequent recovery, the debt held by the public remained high. While it is by no means unsustainable for the figure to stand at 98% of GDP, the fiscal trajectory of the United States is unsustainable, even more so in an environment of high interest rates and persistent deficits. Projections from the congressional budget. Okay. They suggest that the debt held by the public will surpass its all-time high in 2029, reaching out. Well, we're kind of reaching out a little bit, but we got a caller coming in.
We got a caller. Yep, we got a caller.
All righty.
Yes.
Hey, caller, how we doing this morning?
Good. The Republican politicians for a long time, their mantra has been, vote for me, I'll cut your taxes. And they also always increase military spending while they do this.
Yes, sir.
So those two things alone add to the spending. And a lot of it goes, it really accelerated with Ronald Reagan, this Republican hero. And what people don't talk about or seem to realize, the deficit almost quadrupled while he was president. It went up, I think, 375% during his two terms.
Mm-hmm.
And he said government is the problem, and we need to starve the beast. The beast being the federal government. And it's an ongoing thing, and their target down the road, I think, is to cut Social Security. And they can't come out and say that because that would be really unpopular. But this whole distrust of government, and of course, Trump has really upped the ante on this. Everything is rigged against him, and it's disgusting. But that's the whole idea that somehow we shouldn't have to pay taxes, especially the wealthy people. Trump has boasted about not paying taxes.
Right.
He's smart, So I just wanted to throw that in.
So caller, what you're saying basically is because of those tax deductions, mainly to the rich, we lost a lot of revenue.
Yeah.
And that's what Trump continues to do, and that's the biggest damage out of all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when George Will, a very conservative columnist, he used to say we are undertaxed as a society.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't hear that anymore. I guess it's just too unpopular to say that if a person wants to continue to be a force in the Republican Party.
Right. Well, a force, period, because it's that 1% that controls a lot of things, companies, business. And they, of course, they're going to be for taxes because they make a lot of profit. They make a lot of money when those tax break. The poor people make a little money, but those guys make so. And I could see why it's popular now for tax cut because everybody feel like we get something out of it, but we're being hurt drastically because that's revenue that we don't have, and that's more add on to the deficit. So that is a big deal. That's a big deal for us.
Hey, caller, let me also add, this is just my own kind of personal synopsis. And I spoke with Mr. Hare on this not long ago when we were speaking of this. If you go back and we go back to Clinton, well, Clinton almost by making cuts all across the board, including taxing the rich, during his 8-year term, he got everything even. He brought everything back, and we had no deficit when President Clinton was about to step out of office.
Yeah.
That was the last time we had a balanced budget.
It was beautiful, and this is why when I spoke with when Mr. Hare educated us on this, this was an idea that I figured. I mean, if we went to that and we stayed with that, that would be kind of a recipe to move along on. Now we take it even further, and when Obama came into office. Obama, he was pretty close to kind of making things come back, in order himself, and then there came Trump, So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of just utilizing an idea, but you go back to President Clinton, you go back to Obama, and then now you take it all the way up to President Biden. He's trying to get so many things going, but it's so hard to get them going. We can't even get a bill out of the House. So just tough. But I will say to you, number one, I really I appreciate your call. Definitely informative, and as I say, I'm filling in for Mr. Hare. I need those type of calls, informative calls, to help me through. I just want to thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Definitely
Call
appreciate
again.
you.
Yeah, please
your
call
program.
in. Please call in again. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
All righty.
Living for the people with L. Nathan Hare. Guys, call in. The number is 716-878-5104. That's 716-878-5104. Hey, Norm, why don't we go to a commercial? We almost that 30-minute mark anyway, and that way you can reset and get. So yeah, let's do a commercial now, and we'll be right back, guys.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
91.3 FM WBNY is proud to present Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman.
Welcome to Democracy Now!
Award-winning investigative journalism.
Is the NRA imploding?
Providing relevant analysis that makes you think.
Secret State Department documents, including evidence of U.S. war crimes.
Fact-finding reports you will not hear elsewhere. Democracy Now! Airs Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. on 91.3 FM WBNY Buffalo. Ready for radio that's challenging, innovative, and encouraging? Tune in, Living for the People.
This is L. Nathan Hare. Join me right here, 91.3 FM WBNY. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 a.m. after Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! We'll provide objective analysis regarding current issues. Call 878-5104. It's Living for the People on 91.3 FM WBNY.
Stay tuned for Latino History today at 10 a.m., y'all. Latino History.
Latinos make history.
All right. Picking up where we left off, we're talking about the prediction of in 2029 of an all-time high. Such high and rising debt would slow economic growth, push up interest payments to foreign holders of U.S. debt, and pose significant risks to the fiscal and economic outlook. It could also cause lawmakers to feel more constrained in their policy choices. It's stated in its report, the unsustainable fiscal path in the U.S. is nothing new, warned the Bank of America. What is new are higher interest rates that are now priced to stay elevated for a longer period of time. Remember the Jerome Powell chair of the Federal Reserve mantra that to slow inflation, we had to raise interest rates. Now, those chickens are coming home to roost. We could have let the economy cool down on its own as the sudden flush of workers returned to the workforce, and it would slow down. Inflation may have declined more slowly, but it would have slowed. Now lowering its interest rates could reduce the cost of borrowing, but also stimulate higher and more rapid inflation. Interest rate costs have a direct impact on how much U.S. government needs to spend to finance its debt and contribute to the overall deficit. The CBP forecasts that the deficit will hit $1.8 trillion in the new fiscal year, $1.9 trillion in 2025, $2 billion in 2026. Higher interest rates increase deficit spending and result in larger UST issuance, creating a spiral effect. It added a more significant fiscal adjustment will be required over the medium term to put public debt on a decisively downward path. I guess the International Monetary Fund, in its latest report on the United States, says achieving this adjustment will require a broad range of policies, including both tax increases, even for those earning less than $400,000 per year, and addressing structural imbalances in Social Security and Medicare. The sooner this adjustment is put in place, the better political standoff there is. The better political standoff. There's little room for maneuver to reduce the deficit without sweeping overhaul. Budget laws only enable discretionary spending, which represents a decreasing portion. Not even the spending cuts demanded by the Republicans would fix this problem. Regarding mandatory expenses, including pensions and public health, Democrats consider them untouchable. On the other hand, Republicans and some Democrats flatly reject raising taxes. With a Republican-controlled Senate and a Democrat-controlled House, of representatives, the political standoff means any proposal to reduce deficit is likely to be blocked. I think it's a Republican-controlled House and a Democrat-controlled Senate. That's it backwards. The political standoff means any proposal to reduce this deficit is likely to be blocked.
Wow.
The division in Congress could lead to partial shutdown of the federal government if no agreement is reached after a short-term spending bill expires on November 17th. Beyond the immediate disputes over spending, the first litmus test for fiscal policy will come. In principle, at the end of 2025 fiscal year, when Donald Trump's tax cuts included in the 2017 Tax Cuts and Job Acts are set to expire, of course.
Now, I'm listening to you, Norm, and I'm always coming back to Trump doing business. For him, I believe I honestly don't even believe Trump is for Republican. I don't believe that. What I believe Trump is for, no, I don't. I believe Trump is for business, acquiring business, acquiring finances, acquiring power. That's what I believe Trump is for. But the Republicans uses that because they know, okay, Trump has a way of getting his way. And if we side with him, we can get our agenda off the ground. So that's what I believe is really happening.
Go ahead. Brother Will, I kind of respect what you're saying. I think it goes both ways. I think Trump uses the political agenda to advance things for himself, for his power, and for his business.
Right.
And I think that the GOP in itself utilizes Trump like a bulldog to get their business things through.
Bull,
You know what I mean?
Right.
When you look at policy and politics, it's, if you really look at it, it's for big business.
It's for big business,
yeah. That's what it's all about. So your words definitely, as far as I'm concerned, they reign true. Without a doubt, man. We'll go right to this. Of course, if Trump wins the next election, and assuming that the Republicans can regain full control of Congress, which they lack now. They're about 6 shorts voted at, 6 votes short. In the maybe not at 6. I think it's 3 or 4 votes short in the Senate. I think they're 6 votes up in the House.
Right.
But if Trump wins this election and assuming that the Republicans can regain full control of Congress, the likelihood of the TCJA being extended would increase substantially, says Gillis Moek, chief economist at the fund manager AXA Investment Managers. This could be offset by decisive action on the spending side. But given new demographics of Republicans backing off on federal aid, related health care, and pay-as-you-go pensions may not be an easy sell. He explains Moek believes that President Biden has a comprehensive and internally coherent economic plan, but that it is not designated to involve fiscal consolidation, where a Biden 2.0 administration will probably be more interested in addressing America's fundamental fiscal problem than a Trump 2.0 administration is in its willingness to raise taxes. He explains, but in order for Biden to raise taxes, the Democrats would need control of both the Senate and the House. So without control, Biden can, as we were talking a little bit ago, I think we want to, and we're not trying to go crazy, what they're talking about in raising taxes on the people, but there might be small increments to raise taxes. But our aim would be to be able to get at the rich and be able to raise their taxes and business taxes.
Right, but I think they done set everything up so good now, knowing that it's hard. Like you said, it's almost like Biden's hands is tied, and I almost feel like anybody else that comes in, they done set it up that it makes it hard to tax anybody, especially the rich. You probably could tax the poor all you want. It's probably almost impossible to tax the rich because there's so many things in place that they could, in the way the administration is now, Biden can't even tax the freaking.
Well, see, that's exactly what we're speaking on. When you speak of things that are in place, the only thing that's really in place and what controls the fact that he's not able to raise that, he can't get a bill passed because he can't get a bill out of the House of Representatives. So every bill starts there, and if we can't get it out of the House, there's no way we can tax the rich in any way. And that's basically what they're speaking on right here. It's improbable, and like you say, it's like almost impossible. So what we have to do is change the way that things are. Democratically, we have to have control of the House.
Well, don't that mean? But that also means we gotta. That also means we gotta vote for these other not just the big presidency, but we gotta vote the right people in office in states and counties and all that.
Exactly, brother. That right there is the issue that confounds us. People they come out, I guess, mainly for the big elections. Yeah. But we've got to come out for the state elections, for the county elections.
Republicans, constituents, they're coming out.
Yeah.
Every election. And that's why they make ground because in those little states and cities and countries. I mean, those states and cities that matter. And so now, we got to come out and vote. We just got to.
And when you really look at it, Brother Will, voting is the key. It changes things, and it gives us an opportunity to get things put in place to the things that we want in our government,
right?
The things that we want in our cities. They're trying to change state lines and change things the way, with gerrymandering and doing different. I mean, there's just so many things that are going on, and it all starts at home with the voting process here.
Right.
And it's super important because if we don't have control of the House and the Senate, we're never going to be able to get anything passed because the GOP, they stand together and they don't deviate. And that right there is one of the biggest issues we have. They're going to stand together right and wrong for their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they do. So let's move on here.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. All righty.
You got a Venmo or something? Huh? You got a Venmo or something?
No.
It says a Biden 2.0 administration will probably be more interested in addressing America's fundamental fiscal problem than a Trump 2.0 administration. I'm rereading this, but is in its willingness to raise taxes. He explains, but in order for Biden to raise taxes, as I reiterate, the Democrats would need control of both the Senate and the House. The Economist points out that the demands of the American people are dissonant. They want the spending on Social Security and health care as defended by the Democrats, but with low taxes advocated by the Republicans. He says Mowick points out that the market is going to begin to follow U.S. politics even more closely ahead of the 2025 presidential elections. The market wants a little peace and tranquility. It is likely that it will get it from American politics in the near future, he says. Interest rates, there is little room for political action on taxes and spending. Likewise, interest rates depend on the level of public debt and market rates, which are controlled by the government. The rise in debt rates are also controlled by the government. So, with all of that said, that's what Mr. Hare had for us today. We're talking about a lot of government spending, elevated tax rates. It's kind of a lot going on right now.
Yeah, I got a lot going on in my life right now. Please excuse me, guys. Somebody had lost their. I do Uber. Somebody lost their phone, so I'm sorry I interrupted this show. I had the mic on. Well, so please forgive me. But yeah, it's a lot going on. But we got to continue to vote. We got to continue to just know what's happening in the world. I mean, we got a lot of wars going on now. You got Ukraine and Russia. You got Israel and Palestine, and I mean it's just so. And then we're somewhere in the middle, and it's going to affect us. It's going to affect us.
Let's take this real quick. To I'm going to kind of piggyback off of Amy Goodman this morning, and I wanted to utilize this last portion of the show to read some just different news that's going on here, here in the United States and abroad.
Okay.
And right now, I guess the main thing that's happening right now is the war over in Gaza. It's pretty rough, and let me just say, the people are calling for a ceasefire.
Yeah.
This is something that, and now you got to know and keep in mind, and we spoke about this on Wednesday. Our government has asked Netanyahu. He's actually the prime minister, of Israel.
Yeah.
And he, we've asked him, for a ceasefire, and it's almost like he rejects what we say. Now, we as a government and as an ally, to Israel, we give large portions of money to facilitate Israel, to help them, and we seem to be when it comes down to the some of the things that they're using in this war, they're getting their weapons from us also.
Right.
So, I just I'm just kind of putting this out here, but I think Prime Minister Netanyahu really should listen to President Biden, because I think this is really important right now.
I also think that the people, now I'm not talking about government, I think the people want peace. Talking to a Jewish woman in the car yesterday, and they want peace. Now, of course, if you're Jewish, you're probably going to be more on the side of Israel, and I understand that. That I understand. But even with that, they still want the people. I'm not talking about the government now. The people want peace. People here, it sounds like some of the people over there, Israel, Palestine, the people now, they want peace. They don't want all this killing and fighting. And I would think even around the world, people want peace. So, she was telling me about her being in Britain, how what she see on the news and read in the papers is different when she talked to the people there, when she went there. So for the most part, people want peace. We want peace. The governments and the leaders, they want something else.
Yeah. Well, let me read something that I just got off the news, and I mean, there's a lot going on, and we're definitely in agreement with what you're saying. The people want peace. I think peace is something that it really is something that should happen over there, but this is a tough sell right here. I'll start with this. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrived in Israel Friday to press the Israeli government on its ongoing offensive in Gaza amid growing international condemnation and a steadily mounting civilian death toll. Now, that's one thing with the civilian death toll. That's crazy, and it doesn't look good for Israel in itself, who's an ally of the United States, and it doesn't look good for us.
Right. Now I do understand, I'm not, I probably don't know a lot, but I do understand the Hamas, that's how you pronounce it, right?
The Hamas government. Well, not government, they're an organization. Let's be clear.
Hamas has been doing some dirty things to Israel, to the people of Israel.
Well, they did when the war started.
Right.
I mean, it was really...
We understand, and we understand why Israel is retaliating. And we also understand that some of the Palestine people maybe side a little with the Hamas. We know some of them, not all of them, some of them.
Right.
So we understand, and so we understand Israel. Like, okay, Israel, let's, we're retaliating now. We're not taking it no more, and we just going to kill off any sign of what we think is Hamas. But by them doing that, they're also killing off some innocent people that may not even have anything to do with Hamas, or even don't want anything to do with Hamas. So
there's a lot of collateral damage,
A lot of collateral damage that's going on. So in that sense now, it's like, okay, we understand why you did what you did, but now start to look at what's really happening, who you really hurting. Who are you really hurting?
Yeah. Well, no doubt, Will. And also, let me change my wording.
Okay.
I don't want to say, which I did earlier, that this is a war. This is not a war. Right now, I think we can let's call it a conflict over there in Gaza.
Right.
It's not a war, but there's fighting, but we don't want to categorize it as a war.
Right.
So I'm gonna leave that there. Let me continue on. The top U.S. diplomat who traveled twice to Israel last month in the wake of the deadly Hamas attack is meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the war cabinet in Tel Aviv. As the U.S. government continues to attempt balancing support for Israel's defense with an increasingly public call for them to protect civilians. I mean, it's that right there is just super important. One thing I know for sure is that we can't keep taking out people. When you look at it, and if you delve deeper into it, it could be considered war crimes because these people have absolutely nothing to do with what's going on over there. They just live in the area, So that's one thing. Let's kind of excuse me. They had I'm just kind of scrolling through now, but I'm gonna kind of go off a little bit off the grid and just say, and I don't know if this is a reach or not, but it seems like President Trump's support is starting to lessen, even by people within his own political party. I've been seeing people, just like the other day we spoke of Christie from New Jersey. He spoke against Trump. People are starting to speak against President Trump now, and it's I don't really think that he is as strong as he was. Let's say 3-4 months ago. Well, what do you think, Will?
Well, when I talk, I have to kind of go by what I hear from people, and what I hear from people overall, Trump is somebody they look up. Let me just say it like this. People seem to see Trump, and even in our community too, especially the young people, they see Trump as somebody who wants to change the status quo, right?
Right.
Which makes him dangerous because even though they're aware of his way of doing things, his illegal matters, and they're aware of all of this. They hear what he's saying, but they also see him as he's not like the other politicians. So do we go with Biden? And he's a politician, and in the mindset of most people, politicians are crooks.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even though Biden says what he says, but then there's things that's done, and it's political, and it's not advantageous for us. Now you got this I don't know, call him a crime boss, comes in, but he's against the status quo. He seems like he's against the status quo anyway. So do we go for the normal politicians that we know are crooks, or do we go for this guy? He does things illegally and he got all this, but there's a possibility if he goes against the status quo, it may be advantageous for us. And that's why he got 50% of Americans. And he also got some of the other 50% thinking, is he really bad for us? And that's where the danger is, there.
Well, I definitely understand. I think we have President Biden, and we have to and this is one thing that I am an advocate for.
Right.
You got to look at
what he's accomplished.
What he's accomplished, the things that he's done.
Right.
And I kind of hold the media responsible for this, because the media he's not exciting. Let's go there. He's not exciting like President Trump.
Right.
And they don't back him, or they don't put out the positives on President Biden. But any little thing that goes on with Trump, they're behind, and it's big news, and it keeps him in the news, and it just keeps him able to be relevant.
Absolutely.
Even when I don't think that there should be any relevancy with him, because of the man's indicted 93 times. But it's just I've never, in the history of anything I've ever heard of, I've never heard of anything like this.
He gets away with a lot of stuff. But you got to remember too, the media they move bad news sell.
Bad news sells.
Trump is a sight-in. He brings some bad news, and he's bad boy, and that sells. Biden's he's slow. He's
Hey, Will, like we discussed the other day.
Yeah.
And this goes for a lot of women, and it's just, this is kind of funny.
Yeah,
but the woman likes the bad boy.
They like the bad boy. The nice, simple guy, that work, probably works hard, want to do right, and he's here's another thing. I know we supposed to be off the air right now.
I know, Will.
But we got time. Talia's show is not coming on today. So, but you're right. When you bring the bad boy, the media sells bad news, bad boy, and even with the women. Now, you will hear women go, "Oh, I want him to listen to me and do this and do that." And when that guy comes along, it's like, "Oh, he's boring." It's the bad guy that gets the attention. "Oh, I want to be with him. He's not treating me right." But that's who they gravitate to.
That's who they
Trump,
roll with.
That's who they gravitate to.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got it cut out.
Hey, let me just say, and I'm going to let Will take us out of here.
Yeah.
I appreciate being able to fill in for Mr. Hare. This has been a great time for me, and for Living for the People. I just want to say it's been my pleasure to fill in for the man, the myth, Mr. L. Nathan Hare. You take it on out of here, Will.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Norm. You did a great job. The last 2 days you had some big shoes to fill, And you did pretty good. We got callers too. We got actually we probably got more activity than Mr. Head. No, I hate to say that on air, but we have. So thank you, Norm, for the great job that you did. Thank you guys for calling in. Thank you, everybody. Come check us out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for Living for the People at 91.3 FM WBNY. Take care, folks.
Peace out.